dive into the world of generative AI and its profound impact on education. Leading us through this fascinating exploration is Mr. Balaji SR, CTO Learning Technology at NIIT Limited. Mr. Balaji's extensive experience and expertise in the field of educational technology make him the perfect guide for today's journey. With over 4 decades of visionary leadership at NIIT, he has been at the forefront of driving innovation and transformation in the realm of learning. Under his leadership, NIT has consistently pushed the boundaries of what's possible in education, leveraging technology to create dynamic, interactive learning experience for learners around the globe. From pioneering online learning portals to developing blended innovation models and revolutionary cloud campus TM, Mr. Balaji's contributions to the field are truly unparalleled. And today, he's here to share his insights on leveraging AI for EdTech. So without further ado, let's give him a warm welcome.
Really excited to talk about how Gen AI is helping us transform the learning experience. While the learning experience is what learners get, but Gen AI is actually disrupting how you run the business and operations as well. So there are some parts which are discussed. And for me, while I've built tech platforms for so many years, being part of an IIT, this, we call it the 6th generation of technology. And this is, for me, is like, it's just 2 years old. I started as if there's nothing. So it's like a greenfield project for us. While AI existed for a long time and it still continues to be there, Gen AI has disrupted the way we consume and use AI. So for me, I mean, look at it as I'm only 2 years experience in Gen AI, but I will be sharing with you what we have been doing and how we have been looking at changing or transforming the learning experience. Like I said, AI has been there. AI, ML, we have been talking about it. We have been using it. But what has happened is the Gen AI has brought in a fundamental change in how you can consume the AI capabilities. You can actually now build diverse use cases without much hurdles in terms of setting up an infrastructure or building your own algorithms. Okay, and what it has also done is with the tools, the LLMs that are widely available, and all other tools at our disposal, the use of AI, of getting AI to be deployed in an organization is now democratized. You can actually hand it over to non-technical people. That's what AI has done. And that's what we are also trying to figure out, how we can use all of IITians to actually start building tools for us. That's what AI brings in. And please feel free to ask questions as we go along. If there are thoughts in your mind on how you would want to use, I mean, let this be an interactive session. It's not just a lecture here. It's more like, I mean, my own experiences or our own experiences with Gen AI. So while there are broader use cases, but what we have seen and what we have been leveraging Gen AI for is 2 areas. One we call as learning, the other is performance efficiency. The performance at an IIT, we have been focusing on in a learning. Our learning pedagogy has been outcome focused. We look at how learning can impact the outcome. And we have in the past used AI to help actually bring business impact. And when I say that, we have worked with organizations or corporates where we actually work with them, define metrics on when you deploy an EdTech solution, how it will change certain business metrics. Things like, will it change the average sales per salesperson? Will it improve your retention or attrition? Those kinds of things. Now, the same concept still remains the same. The goal still remains the same. It's just that we are now using AI as a lever to drive those. The broad areas where we have seen in EdTech course, content generation. Now, here, the point to note is real-time content generation. That's the uniqueness here. While there are many providers, many people who have attempted building content with AI, right? But what we are attempting to do is, well, that content is all there. You generate the content and you make it available for the learners. It's the same content going to all the learners. What we are attempting to do, or probably Gen AI can help you, is real-time content. Imagine a learner is now coming into a class. I, as a learner, topics are defined, but the content that comes to me is very, very contextualized based on what I need today. The same topic for another student would be another. While the topics are the same, objectives are the same, but the way the content is presented, the way the content is delivered is different. That's what content creation and real-time content creation means here. That's what we are attempting to do. Feedback.
So how do you ensure the quality of the content that is getting delivered to the?
There are multiple ways. One is, of course, the prompt is the magic here, right? So how well you prompt defines the quality of the content. That's one. The other is, as part of your EdTech platform, you need to build guardrails, which actually, and those will be your secret sauce on how the content should be created, what aspects of the content should be there, what is the end goal that you want. So all those will define. So there are multiple layers, if I say. The first is the prompt, then is those guardrails. Then the third is, which is now becoming more and more popular. For example, we are working with some pharma companies. Now, there are already published research articles, citations. There are databases which are available. So when the content is getting generated from LLM, you can always actually link it to the citations that are available. So basically, you blend the LLM knowledge and the other validated knowledge to make sure that the quality is better. So,
finish the thought.
go ahead.
Actually, I had a question on the guardrail. So,
just one quick question. If they're raising all the questions which are answered as you go along, then
I will, yeah.
So,
I will not answer here.
because
feel free to
Please go ahead, please go.
curious people will ask you the question which is coming in the fifth slide. So make that judgment on you.
I'll take it.
So my team means that can we use AI and etc. to create content because it's very fast, right? And my content team keeps fighting with me. I keep fighting back. Says we work with competitors at the same time. I don't want you to do is because we are IP protecting whatever course or curriculum we build because we co-build with them and we run it as well, right? And these are public courses. Anybody can compare the two. How do you set up guardrails that it's not coming from the same place? Because the challenges, and I asked Microsoft once the same. I'm given some content. How is it cited? Because today, if you take it from a book or from some other framework, we can actually go and purchase it. If we take an HBR case study and we buy a lot of them for various reasons, so we pay the commercial license. But how do you do that? If I don't know if you figured that out, but that's a big challenge for us, the IP part.
My take on that is the content creation. I mean, you're talking about your IP creation. So identify the aspects. I mean, you can't, I mean, it's not like you get the entire course curriculum developed through this, but there are aspects of your design process which you can leverage Gen AI to give you a better output. And let's say in the past you were taking time to release newer versions. You could actually, you continue to still do your process the way you have been doing, but you could leverage Gen AI to actually give you more varieties, variants, and help you with running your process, but not really using the content as such. So one example is some of our customers actually use it for storyboarding. Then the media that you use, again, it's your prompt. You are suggesting how the media should be. It's your this thing. You're not actually picking. It's not a Google image search. It doesn't bring in that. So therefore, those are the uniqueness, and your IP strategy you can still maintain with Gen AI. But of course, if you say, give me a code on something, that, I mean, even if you go on Google and find it, you will get it.
Because today we're using it for validations. For example, somebody will say they built an operations case study on Swiggy that we want to teach in a course. Then they actually ask Gen AI to create it, and they kind of match it and see if it's a good match or okay, fair.
Because when you get a response, you'll also get the links. So if you're using GPT will provide you links from where it has picked up that data.
But the problem is not sourced directly. A lot of times it's an aggregation. The problem is the code source is not available often. That becomes problematic because if you're going to publish it on an online course, etc., visible to everybody.
What we can define is how you actually enhance your content. So let's say if you have, for the lack of word, let's say 10 aspects in your content, but you want to increase, add more, let's say exercises, examples. That's where you can actually leverage Gen AI to give you that benefit. Any other questions? Personalized feedback. Now, this is another interesting thing. Again, this is real time. Students are actually going through, and I'll share some case studies on how we have been leveraging. Students are going through the learning material, and largely I'm talking about self-learning, not the faculty delivered or instructor delivered. But student does something, okay? In the IT training, they're coding, or in other non-IT, for example, we have deployed solutions for sales. So we put people through some scenarios. They are responding to the scenarios. What AI is able to do is give you real-time feedback on how you did what you did. More importantly, you can put the person through the same thing again and again, and with different responses, you get real-time feedback. That helps in actually providing an environment, a safe environment where people can practice a lot more than they were able to do earlier. Then the other is, while the first two are more customer specific on the value you can provide to your customer, this is administrative streamlining your own processes, your own operations, the way you run it. There's a lot you can do with enhancing with or bringing productivity and efficiency in your process while you focus on other stuff. So AI can offload a lot of repetitive tasks that you do.
Ask the question.
Yes.
I'm coming at this from a different angle. So this being a university, maybe the faculty can also answer this. You're teaching a lot of students, and part of the coursework is assignments. I'm sure students leverage Gen AI as well. Is that a struggle to now detect usage, inauthentic work, plagiarism, things like that, and maintain academic rigor with students?
So I can answer that.
So those few seats are faculty coming in and out from the classes.
So some of the things currently it is unable to do where you can attack them, because in projects they were copying, right? If you are giving programming question, ask them test cases. That Gen AI is unable to give, and everybody gets stuck. Okay. If you want to catch them. Okay. Secondly, if you want to, like, for example, what they will do is, if it is a mathematical domain question, then definitely what they are doing is something they are getting from Chat GPT or something they are explaining. Immediately a question, if you ask that a numerical problem on that. Okay. Generally what I ask in project is simple. For example, mode is there. Give an example where you are going to use mode. They will be unable to answer. When you are going to use mean, because we are finding mean, but we find mean because, for example, we have three strategies: strategy B, strategy C. That is, for example, buying mutual funds. Then basically we go for mean. Okay, so those kind of questions, if you will ask, they are going to be blank.
I think the trick is that if the faculty are using Gen AI as well, then what we do? That's the catch.
Yeah, we had an interesting workshop with faculty at NIIT University. And there were some great ideas that the faculty shared. Some of them are here. There is no way you can block use of ChatGPT, but you can definitely actually use it to your own benefit. The exercises some of the faculties are building, I mean, here and other places, is they're saying go and use ChatGPT. But the objective is you want the learner to understand, learn the subject. So rather than saying solve the problem, you can go and tell them use ChatGPT, get the answer, but then you have to come and brief us on how it did it. So that those are methodology. You just change the approach and get them to learn.
Sometimes assignment can also be sharing the chat GPT link, whatever
That's the way,
conversation you had.
and study will move. So open book exam type of.
Like my team says, it's how you use Excel.
Yeah.
They said, आपको इतना maths आता है हाथ से calculate करो. Why do you use Excel? That's exactly it. All the Gen Zs in my office tell me the same thing. If you're that good in maths, do it by hand.
Use Excel. That's the same way we use GPT.
On the administrative side, some use cases that we have been working on includes things like when you're running an operations, you need to actually, let's say if you are you have your own faculty pool, you are doing faculty assignments, session management and all of it. Those processes GenAI can do very they can completely it's automation. I mean, many folks confuse automation with GenAI also, but there are a few things that you can actually get the AI to do too, and save a lot of time in doing the operations for yourself. Okay, GenAI, and here, while what I've listed, I mean, it applies to K through 12, higher ed, and also corporate. But we at NIIT, the business which I focus on is largely for corporates. But we have seen that all of this applies to all the different segments. So adaptive learning tools, like in the previous one, I said, the content can be real time. Now, when the content becomes real time, what happens is every student, so you don't have one content going to all students. Instead, you actually build your content such that every student has their own copy of the content. The template, the topic, the objectives remain. It's just that let's say the use of examples, the way the concepts are described or explained could be very specific to individuals. So one use case that we have done is, though we have not used it as an alternate to instructor, but it's more like we have created a coach. Learners, when they have questions, they can always go to a coach and ask some questions. Now, what the coach does is, it asks the learner, what is your interest area? Something like, what kind of games do you play? Now, when the AI knows that, like, I'm interested in hockey, or let's say football or rugby, whatever that is, the example it brings in is based on my interest. Okay, and it could also be, what movies did you watch in the last few days? And then it kind of, I mean, LLM knows all of it. It has the knowledge. It just refers to that, and it crafts the examples, crafts the explanation based on my interest area. So concept, I mean, the topics are the same, explanation is the same. It is just that how you present it, the examples are very, very contextualized. That's one way of doing adaptive learning. The other is in the corporate scenario. One very interesting use case. We do sales training for one insurance company, global company. What they have now attempted to do with this tool is, every salesperson, before they actually go and meet, let's say, their customer, they say that I am meeting this customer who is, let's say, from healthcare industry, or somebody who owns his own company, and I'm going to sell an insurance policy. The AI is able to give them sales pitches, and it also says, you would want to understand, these are the typical challenges, these are the typical needs of a customer who operates in this industry, who is of this age group. So that actually provides just-in-time learning, and very contextualized to the person I'm meeting. Therefore, the sales conversation, the first meeting that the sales folks are having with this company, it's too early to talk about metrics, but right now the feedback that we are getting is it's really helping them, and they're having very, very meaningful conversation even in the first meeting. So that's how the AI, the adaptiveness, and more importantly, the real time that I'm talking about is helping. Enhanced assessments. Now the assessments are very, very, again, linking to the contextualization. We at NIIT have deployed a solution which actually now all our screening process is done through AI. The new hires that we do, the screening is happening. So we have been able to create assessments which does the screening. AI is able to do that. It saved a lot of time for us to do the screening. More importantly, companies, we are deploying skill assessments for companies where when you are assessing skills, individuals are at different levels, and the assessments, what adaptive assessments we used to talk are now kind of at your fingertips. You can just launch any adaptive assessment in few minutes, and it completely contextualizes and adapts based on what the learner is, what is their level, and it keeps adjusting as the person is answering the question. So that's what we have done. And feedback we spoke earlier. Every action or every response that the individual learner is having with Gen AI is able to immediately provide. So we call it turns. You have turns with the AI. You're talking to the AI. It's like AI is like it takes a persona, and you're talking to that. Every turn you take, AI is able to give you feedback. So that's interesting. So what we have been doing is, even if you're not exposing the feedback to the end learner themselves, you keep actually capturing it so that AI is able to tell you based on the response, which can help you with doing a lot of personalization in future.
Which are the primary LLMs that you use at NIT?
We use variety, depending on the industry, depending on the role, job function. But what we have found is GPT does GPT-4, even 3.5 did a good job. For most things, GPT-4 and 4.0 are doing a good job. But what we have found is some specialized roles, like we are working with one K through 12. We found that Claude is better for crafting responses which can be comprehended better by kids in K through 12, specifically grade 3, grade 5, class 3, class 5. So Claude is doing better. There are some, we work with healthcare companies, pharma companies. We found that, again, Claude has a very specific opus as the LLM that does better. And then there are some for which you don't even need to go to the commercially available. You can set up Llama as well. Therefore, in a platform sense, if you have to create a platform, you create a platform which actually has the ability to connect to any LLM, and one interaction can be actually supported by multiple LLM. That's the approach if you take.
So my actually why I asked this question was because for real-time feedback, there's a lag time if you're using any of those online LLMs, right? So you may have your own RAG model, but then after that, if you're using a LLM or GPT, there'll always be a lag time. And then in that case, how do you handle the response time? Because that is the biggest challenge in real time.
It's actually not. And I'll tell you why. It depends on how you have architected this. And like I said, the content creation, let's say you want to create a scenario, Opus could be the best or would be the best for that. But you don't need to use Opus for the same feedback. Feedback, you can use another LLM. So it's like you have 3-4 experts and each expert doing multitasking. So you can actually crack that latency problem or response time problem there.
Discuss more on this separately.
Yeah, sure. We have done something, so I can. Okay. Yeah, any other questions? Anybody?
I have one question. You told that in sales it is used, right? So can you just give an example or demo that how it is used?
For sales?
Sales, yeah.
So there are multiple use cases we have deployed for sales. One is role plays, for example. So traditionally, and then before Gen AI, we were using AI for role plays. But what would happen is our content team will create scenarios, something like you are meeting a customer. This is your negotiation meeting. The customer has been already offered a competitive product. How are you going to now deal with this customer? And that scenario is fixed. But we were doing role plays then also. But now what Gen AI is able to do is it's able to create scenarios faster. If let's say I could create 10 scenarios in the past, now I can create 100 scenarios in no time. That's one benefit. The second is, in the past, the same learner, when they would go and do the practice again, it is the same scenario. But now what Gen AI can do is, if I did a scenario on negotiation, the next time when I go and do the scenario, based on my past assessment, evaluation, or feedback, it can adjust the new scenario. Okay, only specifically addressing areas of weaknesses. That's one. So this is one example of sales use case. The other is very interesting. We have a customer, and like I said, everything that we do, we link it to the business outcome. We are trying to help a customer who is going to increase managers' span of control in terms of number of people they directly manage. Now, AI can offload managers' load in terms of mentoring their direct team members. So we have created something called Ask Me Anything. So there are team members who actually, the sales folks specifically, they need to take decisions, they need guidance, they need help. So there is a AI which actually acts as your manager, and you can ask questions, you can take help and get answers without loading your manager with those questions. So therefore, that's another use case. The third use case is like I told you, pitch. Before the sales call, it gives me a pitch. So I'm prepared very well before I'm going to the sales call. The fourth use case we're doing is, I had the meeting with the customer. I've understood who the customer is, what their needs are. The salesperson comes and feeds it into the AI. The AI is helping you recommend the best product for that customer. So these are some areas that we have been working. And again, like I said, it's been 2 years we have been working on this. Some of them are very early stage in terms of deployment. So the real benefit is not yet seen, but we are getting to hear. It's more like hearing from the that it's one, okay, but we don't have metrics yet.
So one quick use case which we are deploying right now is, so we do a lot of CRM callings. So we get a lot of leads where we have to reach out to parents. We have to gather information and do some confirmations. So usually, previously our agents used to call and they used to do all of that. So now so there's this pilot case that we are running where the agent AI calls and is conversing with the parents, solving doubts on the fly. That's why I was asking about the real time, because parents are asking quizzes. The responses come from a RAG with the LLM. So the AI is replying to the quizzes, and then whatever questions we ask them, we note down that question and that is so we are solving one of these use cases because we are building AI-driven counseling as well.
Voice or chat?
Voice.
Voice. You dial a phone number, or AI can call you on.
Yeah, it's an outbound call. So it's an outbound call. Works on inbound also because the concept is the same, because it's again the RAG model. So instead of chatting, everything is delivered on voice. But the main challenge that we are facing is the RAG, because information has to come pretty fast without a lag on a phone call. On a web, it works because everybody knows, but on a voice, that's a big challenge.
When it comes to assessments, so in the use cases, one in your learning management system, second for screening.
So, and you also mentioned you are able to currently use dynamic or adaptive questions depending on the level of the candidate. What kind of technique did you evolve, strategy? Because now, let's say Kapil, Abhishek, Ramana, three candidates are appearing. Okay. Kapil there is a top level. Okay, he's able to answer the toughest of the tough, and he's going to get those questions there. Abhishek is doing it medium level, and I'm doing it low level, but I'm going forward. How do you normalize this? How are you able to normalize this and then calibrate all these three are good or who is good? How are you able to come out with a rank which is not relative ranking in terms of our academics, where it's the same question being given to everyone? So this is adaptive.
So, see, the choice of when to deploy adaptive is to be, I mean, the decision has to be taken. Now, the example that you took, now, what is the purpose of assessing? Now, if it is the purpose of assessing is for selection or rejection, then the type of question and the difficulty of question will not vary much, because it has to be, I mean, that's the normalization. But if it is for, like I said, doing skill analysis, okay? So, let's say when I'm interviewing you, when I'm assessing an individual, some individuals I'll take a call within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, whatever that duration is. But some I'll go further, probe a lot. So the AI is able to do that. So again, the purpose of assessment and evaluation depends on what kind of method you will use. And you have to, again, prompt it. And in some cases, we are actually not generating questions at runtime. We are feeding our question bank, saying from the question bank, pick it. But what AI is able to do is, we say, here is the question. But when you're delivering the question, change the example. Let's say if you have a static question which uses character's name, John, Bala, something, it'll change. So therefore, your ability to have variants of questions improves. So again, depending on use cases, you'll have to pick the best choice. But AI can do all of that. All the magic is possible. Yes.
I'm just going to add, we actually, for strangely for a non-tech company, we use the question bank part of it a lot, because we have to do so many assessments for so many students. Strangely enough, by hook or by crook, we figured it out. It's actually very good for taking the same case study.
Create variations.
Yeah, create variations. So same delivery case study as Zomato, Swiggy, Blinkit, like it can create 20 examples.
You can change numbers. If you're using financial numbers, let's say asking somebody to review the numbers and respond, you can change those. So that's the benefit you will get.
Actually, it really helps with, I think one of the professors said, the whole copying scenario, because we do a lot of physical assessments which are unproctored. So students will discuss the question with each other. They are alarmed that the question sounds the same, but the numbers and everything.
I mean, that's what you were doing prior to AI, Gen AI also, where you would create multiple variants of the same question, but just change the labels or examples. But now Gen AI can actually help you do that. So
then you were doing it as a trick.
Yeah, we're basically, it's
Here, I think the big difference here, that it will do it based on the student's history so far. I think that's the big thing.
that's it.
There you are trying to avoid cheating.
Yeah.
Here you're trying to make it more effective. In doing that, you're making it different, and therefore cheating not happening the byproduct. I think that's a bigger.
I mean, we were solving a very minute use case. This is a more rich use case, actually.
I once I went into sir and madam. And now, of course, process, you can also pitch in.
Some behind you as well. They're going and coming, professors.
So, let us say we are able to, because of the availability of technology today, we are able to actually come out with a grading strategy. Where what Mr. Balaji initially said, every student is not given the same question. I'm not talking about a templatized or a variant of an existing question, but actually of a different level. Because in truest sense, if you talk about relative grading, right, is this person from his level, is he able to climb up these stairs? So if he can come out with one strategy that way, and then actually that C grade guy and a B grade student can actually get A, would a university be open to accept such a grading system?
University will
It will be
not
scientifically.
easy one. Absolutely. Absolutely. For your internal assessment, yes.
Yeah, internal assessment.
But I think now they are getting more and more invasive. That's what we find. And though then the solution is limited to the capability of the regulator to feel comfortable.
Yeah, I get that regulation tappa on that, but would the university be open to say, I would really like all these members also because they are showing improvements at the end of the day, which is measurable, quantifiable, and actually done.
Actually, yes, absolutely. Because somebody who is at a lower level, but took a quantum jump, yet he is not at in the top rung, but he made that quantum jump, he deserves to get A.
Delta
that.
are looked at as well.
They're open
That
for
is,
it.
yeah.
9 CGPA going to 8 is a very different treatment.
But our hands are completely tied.
Because they would ask you, what is the system you have put in calculation?
Everybody gets A, first of all, it's not acceptable.
Understood.
Somebody must fail.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it is totally different.
But in companies, when you do it, you have flexibility. Right? Only there, the limitation is the capability of the training leader to accept your innovation. Their comfort on whether what you're saying is right or not. Their competence to judge it, then their comfort. So,
And appraisals will be tied to that.
sorry?
Appraisals would
Yeah,
be
so
tied
there's a
to
consequence of all tests have a consequence, right? Everybody knows that. Then everybody tries to play safe by normalizing, simplifying, all of that. So here, this is the antithesis of this. When you're getting into Gen AI, actually speaking, you're trying to approach what the best of teaching can be, which is Guru Shishya.
subjective evaluation.
1:1, right? And that has never been possible, and perhaps never may be possible fully. So we have seen in our some teachers will do that in the classroom even now.
Yeah.
Their approach to a slower student is not different. In fact, if any, there's a greater focus compared to a bright kid. The automated systems have to be taught that. It's not easy. So you are trying to approach, even the examples we are seeing, we're trying to approach, come closer to what would a good teacher do? What would a good compassionate teacher do? Good impartial, you can put all those adjectives, which is non-trivial. I don't think we're still quite far from it, but in the annual event that we do for a customer that go every March, last 3 years I've seen radical movement. 3 years ago, even Unilever wasn't keen to use DNA. Last year we started. This year they were showing us case studies. So the movement of in the corporate world of learning, the chief learning officers is improving quite a bit. Regulators are getting still, they don't change much. So wherever your work is regulated, just be prepared that you'll have to be triply cautious. You can't afford to make a mistake because the price is too high. And you have to live with that constraint to see.
One use case that we have been attempting on this, and Raji used the word Guru Shishya. It's not for assessment, but it's more like prep for the assessment. You use this different personalized adaptive assessment to check how prepared this individual is to actually appear for the main exam. So it can give you early feedback on who are not going to clear or what are the hurdles they are facing. That could help you actually then provide personalized training or intervention to help the person succeed. That's the possibility.
Balaji sir, one more question. So for personalized feedback and all, the persona of the child, of the student is very important to understand. Then only that personalized feedback can come.
What is important?
For the personalized feedback to come, the persona of a student is very important.
Yes.
How do you capture this persona? Because it is a continuous thing, because students are evolving.
Yes.
So the persona has to keep on evolving, then only your feedback mechanism can work.
Yeah.
So are you doing anything in that? What is the
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. So at regular, it's more like it's like, I mean, he used the word guru and we call it coach. The same thing. It's like somebody is having a one-on-one conversation and understanding what your needs are, interests are. While it starts with something, but over a period of time, something like, I mean, we did very recently, and then a person said, my interest is cricket. Okay. Now the coach that we built was explaining the concept and taking examples of, let's say you're playing cricket and this happened, therefore how will you do this? But then recently, Team India won the Champions Trophy. So it uses that to understand if something changed in your interest, okay, or some other event happened, let's say. So therefore, the coach is, so the AI tool that you're building, you have to build in such a way that you are probing, understanding this person better, okay. So it's
Context which is happening behind you.
Yeah, I understand.
Context which
Completely understand because I am doing the same thing. But what I want to understand at university level, how are you guys doing it? At college level, how are you guys doing it? Because at my platform level, I'm doing it because my students are interacting with the platform continuously. They are participating in different events. So I know what are their interests, and accordingly, I'm throwing the context. But at a university level, how would you do it, or
Universities are slower because of many things, for many reasons. Regulation only one of them, right? And also, I think the difference is how is it a big university or a small university. We've chosen to be a small university and grow slowly, so that the interaction between student and faculty is 360 degrees, right? So a faculty here and they play role of what, and they play many roles and they're learning their things. So the student is seen in totality. So we have a lot of remediation which is happening when the results come. How do they work on it? How do you put students in groups? It's still not exactly 1:1 because that capability doesn't exist. So in a sense, what we're trying to attempt here is if we had a class of one, what would you do? So the physical aspects of which we do here, because it's not about 50,000 learners. In the corporate examples where we may have 1 lakh learners. Okay, but how big is your insurance? The big company? How many agents?
insurance company that we work with, 60,000 agents.
50,000 agents, right? So, but they are very committed to development of their people. So the learners are on learning paths. Right. So it's easier to, for example, in the historic days, how many hours of learning do you give in a year? Starts with that statistic. There's 1:5, 1:6 ratio. So if you're in the best category already, you're spending time, right? And you're trying to say, understand your employee, understand whatever. So when you're dealing at that scale, then the ability of the system to memorize all of that, the ability of the system to get many different feeds for the same person, from HR, from supervisor, from whatever. And also, as he says, now if you know the guy's interests and a match happened yesterday, right? So you're trying to move the context along with the person. So that's the ideal situation. I think that's the ideal situation. But only thing is, and that's the line I want to say for everybody, that this is moving very fast. And therefore, there are two things to keep in mind, that you cannot wait and say, we'll start doing this next year. The gap to cover up will be far too long. So the quicker you embrace it, make sure the consequences are not harmful if there's an error. But you have to start embracing and you refine as you go. I think that's a very important question to keep in mind. And then again, the question, if there are many concerns on GenAI, are you the whole thing of plagiarism and so on is getting cracked. I think that AI to do it for itself is working very well. So there are many things evolving. But the thing to do is really to embrace it in its earliest form and keep working with it, because it's very rapid evolution. So when you ask a question of which one do you use, now it depends on what you changed yesterday. The tools are also.
So if there are solutions available which a university can embrace for its students, which helps university students to continuously interact with it, and it's engaging. It's not like just studies, right? Because if you just talk of studies, students are going to run away. But it is more on a regular basis. This is trying to gauge interest of a student and then expand on it.
Yeah.
So will that work with the university?
Yeah, it depends on the university. I think it depends on so many factors, I think, but institutions which are dead serious about the learner at the center, and there'll be more of this happening. And what does technology doesn't do, then is done through very many mechanisms, right? So there's much more concern here by the university and the faculty about each learner. Because it's residential, you have wardens, you have many sources of information. So around transaction, there'll be much deeper study of what went wrong here. And again, we have to remember that this connected world is very difficult to find that. It's not easy. Because students are not connected to you, they're connected to the devices. They're connected to a very, very vast, uncontrolled world. And we think that they're connected to us. They're getting disconnected. So therefore, the physical connect, in that sense, has a role. Play which doing it at scale, we don't have good examples. The whole thing to remember. In a corporate setting, the roles, responsibilities, tasks are much more defined. Right? And the employees are not in that exploration phase of learning. They're going from level to level to level. They have certification, they have testing, there are many methods. Whereas a college student, very much more a school student, far more undeveloped mind, far more difficult. And doing it at scale, therefore, has its challenges. So we have to keep
I completely understand what you're saying.
we have to keep that in mind. So it has to be very context. Context is becoming extremely important.
Yeah.
Both has the solution, but also has a problem. I think both sides we have to understand. So now I do want to make a point that everybody's at different levels in this. And even when we are talking to our own staff and people, I find that those who are a little left behind are falling behind more. And those who are racing ahead are not racing ahead, but just they're getting more adept. So even when we do a boot camps for customers, big companies, they have 5 teams and they're working in teams to solve problems over a month period. Some group will go into the use of open source like it blows your mind. Some others will say open source is not safe, we don't have to do it. So I think in every case, just being very sensitive to the context, the learner persona, and there are groups of we've always met with groups, but now we are saying, okay, if you're beginning to come to one-to-one, what is workable, and it's expensive, it's not easy. The more you go to one-to-one in the physical world, the more expensive it becomes. And the question really is that what all can become one? And how can you use even a digital coach to flag issues to humans and say, that's not my cup of tea? So then we start dividing the role between what teacher can do and what the Gen AI can do. So learning that is very important. Understand that, and that is very important. You have 10 more minutes. Sorry, the question.
Wanted to just contribute into this conversation. So,
Allowed to.
Mr. Ramana and then Mr. Alok, that what university is doing. So, just as a single faculty here, I'm just going to talk about one course that I'm covering here. So, I'm a faculty of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and then falls into the umbrella of this AI. What I'm trying to do in my course, where I deal with around 197 students at one go, is the adaptive learning, at the same time adaptive assessment. How does it play out? So in the beginning, when the first assessment is getting conducted, is just for an average student. That's so as to figure out that is who is a slow learner, so as to say, average or a fast learner. From there onwards, the Gen AI help comes in there. So therefore, when I go there in the class, then when I deliver the lecture, that is to keep in mind that this is an average student, a mean, so as to say, in that Gaussian curve. And then the assessment on the other side is going to be that so as to prepare these slow learners, give multiple assessments on the same topic. And that's where the Gen AI essentially helps me. Not only the assessment, but at the same time, preparing the personalized content also. So for the slow learner, the content is going to be so as to make them ready at least at the level of this average student. On the other side, these are the advanced learners which are not satisfied, where they know what you are going to cover in the class, they already know, somewhere they already learned or something. So for them, as somewhere earlier, President Sir also mentioned that we are trying to inculcate this research mindset here. So for these students, with the help of Gen AI,
Now the advanced topics are being given to them. For example, if it is a digital image processing, for those students, computer vision comes in the same course. So adaptive learning takes place there. Over the period of time, that is say 15 days, 20 days, multiple assessment, multiple such topics are being covered apart from the classes. And then the students are ready to give that one test, because again, ultimately UGC guidelines are going to be followed there. So while the assessment is going to be of that one test, making sure that the Gen AI is being utilized effectively for the personalized content generation, delivery, at the same time the assessment, that these students now find themselves at least at the average level. So one pedestal up from where they are. And that's how university is using this.
Just wanted to add one more feature, that at the entry point, we provide for the learning styles and multiple intelligence questionnaire to every
The
incoming
induction
batch.
program, we have a very,
Every
very,
incoming batch.
very
So on
deep-
every student, our faculty knows the type of intelligence and the learning style. So actually, though we are not practicing, but to me it looks that once we have prepared, a teacher prepares a vanilla question paper, then it can customize to the individual student.
So baselining,
The
basically.
concept is being tested, but student who is a visual learner, the question may ask him to draw a diagram. But somebody who is mathematical may be asked to make a formula. So, and if we administer these questions every year, because the intelligence and learning styles also change, then we may be continuously so we feed one vanilla question paper, but then you get as many students, those many versions of the question paper. That's possible, but not that we are following it.
yeah, we're building a baseline in terms of gathering that information.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to start. Have a baseline and
Then it depends on the faculty. Every faculty has their own approach. Some go deeper into this, some go into simplifying. So they have that freedom they have, the flexibility they have. So,
Anup, if I can answer, we are actually doing this. Universities are willing to invest in this multi-grading, multi-learning approach only if, in my opinion, and maybe very short-sighted, if it comes to placements, because that is outside the UGC setup. In a non-regulatory, because non-regulatory, right? So anything to do with skilling, which will get them a better job, they'll be willing to invest in a solution like that. But if it is within the academic curriculum, because we run academic curriculum courses, we realize we have to follow the line. Because even the course outlines, we don't use Gen AI to write. Because somebody will come and you use Gen AI to write this course outline. वो भी हाथ से लिखना पड़ता है.
within the conformed parameters of the course, a weaker student who does not understand the concept through practice. So practice questions can be generated, which can be administered online, so that the level of the student can improve for a particular course.
teaching, but it's a teaching methodology.
Teaching methodology. It's a teaching methodology.
Have a freedom that nobody.
That investment from a university to adopt.
It's a higher, because to create that kind of, for every course, every subject, every topic, it has to be and you need to have a sizable question bank, adaptive question, with what sir said, real-time questions. I think that is possible with lesser cost. Now these things will be possible, because some of these things we are already doing for our students, for some of the test prep that we do.
But if you want a university to invest in it, just a suggestion is you show them
Skill part.
the upskilling and the job placement part. Then they are willing to invest in it. Because if you say this will help solve your regular academics, they'll say I have a
Correct. Regular understood. Very, very well taken. Very well taken.
Yeah. The last one, business, not model disruption, but more how you operate. Very interesting use case, not that we are doing, but I've learned it from other folks that have been networking. Marketing is using this very differently. I was talking to one global company which sells hearing aid. The website that they've created is, when you go into the website, see the website is same content for everybody who visits the website. What they've done is they're generating the website content, the media, the infographics based on who you are. So something like hearing aid, I am somebody who is aged and I have very specific ailment. It asks what kind of persona you are. and then it is creating web pages at real time. Now, that's something we haven't heard of, and this is a global company. They're doing it. I've not heard any Indian company doing this, but there is one very interesting Indian company doing. It's a fashion company. The way you now look at catalogs are changing. You're not presenting, I have this catalog, go and look at these categories. It's just saying, what are you looking at? I say, it's a fashion style organization. So I say, I'm going for a wedding. I'm looking for costumes for this. It actually builds the catalog for you. I mean, we have a chief learning scientist who is based in the US, who has he's a PhD in AI many years ago. What he is saying is, AI is going to disrupt the way you actually communicate with your customers through even websites. AI is going to become your new UI. That's the way, I mean, that's his.
You've done this 10 years back. What you're talking about, I've done this 10 years back for a customer. That time we did not have AI, but you could buy databases, personas. So when you had a customer, you could find a lookalike from that database and you would present a customized website as per that persona. We did not even have to ask questions. And then the website would understand that this was the persona, and as per that persona would deliver the website. This is 10 years back.
That requires a big mind. I mean, marketing spends a lot of money in actually tagging and writing content. How will they use GenAI is a big question.
I mean, there are databases built on that, CDP platforms, which are built on this.
It's now easier to convince.
Now it's easier. I'm talking about
Vendors to spend money on it because they now see this as a possibility. But I guess training will also have to evolve into more performance support, etc. If you
Just in time.
just in time, for example, when you're talking of simulations based on personas, those are open-ended instead of closed-loop simulation. Imagine and real-time content generation. Imagine your learning support talks to your CRM.
Yeah.
It picks up the characteristics of the buyer, what they prefer.
It's easy to do this.
What they've liked over the years, what they respond to. And while driving to your customer's location, your sales guys could have a demo, a practice conversation with AI,
With the agent.
persona of your customer. And so you're prepared for various simulations.
Is your coach in that prospective?
Yes.
AI.
Yeah, I mean, these
one of your customers.
need a lot of things to happen.
There's a lot of thought process needs to go in. It's not everything. You have to also think that these are the scenarios and you have to play out those scenarios and then still have to build it out. But yeah, now with the AI, it's
possible. And like I said, we're seeing it happening.
And while you say it's possible, somebody might have built it and
That's what I'm saying. It's
No.
I've seen somebody actually doing these two use cases.
Absolutely.
We have not done it for ourselves, but we saw.
I think that's a bigger challenge, and that was my question to you. I mean, you've been in this for 2 years. It's a bigger challenge to understand what tools out of those 10,000 tools that are there and coming up every day. What is the right tool? How to select it? How to learn to use AI? As simple as what NIIT did 40 years back. I keep going back to that, because we learning Excel was nothing, file, view, edit, go there. AI is a blank sheet, right? So how do you learn that? How do you know how to operate a mid-journey? Or whether you should use mid-journey or A, B, C, D. So there is so much of confusion. While we are all discussing, it's great, discussion, but while we are saying this is possible, maybe this is already built.
Yeah.
And we don't know about it. So how to get that something, I would like to understand, because you've been working on that challenge for the last 2 years. I worked on that and created something in AI on mental health and realized by the time we built it and spent so much money and 6 months, ChatGPT gets you right there. It's there. The feature is there. So I think that's bigger challenge to understand.
Yeah. So this is what I mean may not be directly answering your question, but this is what you could do. One is set the AI foundation and make it scalable. So, for example, we have created an AI foundation. The last 2 years we spent on that, rather than jumping on the point solution, which is many of the adopters are doing. Just doing a solution. You will end up doing multiple point solutions. Instead, if you reverse the strategy, create an AI foundation. Like you said, in fact, just last week, we learned that there's something called MCP, Model Context Protocol, which allows you to connect to external systems and integrate with your AI. Now, if I had taken the approach of building a point solution, I would have to then go back and redevelop or redo a few things. But instead, what we did the last 2 years, the first year we spent actually creating an AI foundation, which allows us to, on a daily basis, incrementally add options and make it flexible. So to answer your question, you said mid-journey or something else. We have a set of team which prefers mid-journey, but there is another set of team which uses something else. So we have created this foundation where we're able to provide mid-journey as well as the other tools that are available, similar, Synthesia or whatever. So that's what we have done. And important is, we spoke about personality. That's the data study. So every data point that you can bring in, create a strategy for it. But of course, you have to keep in mind the data privacy, all of that other stuff. But that's what, and then integrate. All of these AI tools have to integrate with some of your existing system. And he was talking about CRM. Kapil was talking about the CRM integration. That's what it is. And then on top of it, build your point solution. So today, since we took this approach, we're able to actually build point solution almost on an everyday basis. The other thing to answer your question is, you have to also have a governance cadence. And in our team, we have created an AI architecture board, which meets, I mean, though we are meeting weekly, but by the time we meet, many things have changed. So, so therefore, that regular cadence has to happen, and this is changing fast. So there is no other option available.
Because heavy lifting is in the data gathering, the data part. That is where we assume it's easy. That's the hardest.
Yeah.
You have to get your data discipline in place. Otherwise, then everything has to feed off that. That, I think, is the biggest hurdle, actually. Latency comes there.
We've discussed most of it. I think I've discussed all the use cases, but just one other use case is group scenario management. The examples that I took is more like one individual talking to the AI, but AI can also actually simulate a group exercise. 10 people talking to the AI at the same time, AI monitoring all those 10 people, also individual, and therefore it can give feedback at the team level, at the group level, and also at the individual level. Those are other use cases that really work well. I think we spoke on all of this, all the aspects that these are some use cases and case studies we have been working on. Though, I mean, this is not just the, there are many others, but I just picked a few that we are seeing great traction on this. I mean, this is our approach. What we do is, I mean, every use case that we build, we start small, do a pilot, gather feedback from the field. If it works, then we refine, and then we integrate. So every point solution that you see here, we follow the same method, and just put it out, test it, do A/B testing. If it works, then you further invest on it.
How big is the team who manages all this?
We have a 70-member team only focused on GenAI, but our technology team is about 200 people.
AI specific.
AI specific is about 70 people we have invested. That's because we are working with multiple organizations. Like Raji said, like Raji said, the last when we started, companies didn't know how to leverage GenAI. So we were going and telling them. They said, okay, we'll try, we'll pilot. But now things have changed. They are coming to us saying, we have this challenge. Can you do a solution for it? That's the change we have seen.
Very rapid. Last 2 years.
Yes, it's changed in 1 year. And the good news is that foundation that we built is helping us.
Balaji, like if LMS is that app which will be used for this online delivery, and that is where you are NIT is already there in its journey with plans and other things. I'm just wondering, like, do you plan to get into a product where you will also sell subscriptions of your LMS, at least to your member or incubated companies to use that advantage? Is that something, a direction also to take?
We, we are not putting it as an LMS product, but we create specific solutions for our customers and make it available on a commercial basis. We already are doing it.
Right, but as an online, with all these courses, if we collaborate with NIT on the new energy systems part, I'm just wondering, like, ultimately we need an LMS with all these features to track a learner's journey with all this personalized content, assessments, everything. So is that kind of already ready to be just deployed when you start?
We have some customers internally for us. We have customers for whom we are also doing it.
So actually, the business being talked of here is not an India B2C. This is so those of you who tracked us, we merged our international business, which we call now NIT Learning Systems, but the offering is called Managed Training Service. So it's MTS, if you see NIT MTS. There we've chosen to work with the subset. We have 101 out of the Fortune 1000 companies. But the problem there are of scale. They're in a position because we demonstrate outcomes. See, if you go to a big company and ask them, many of you would have tried, ask the CEO, how much have you spent on training? No clue. And then the second question you can't ask that, what do you get out of it? Okay, so many years ago, we started talking about training as an unmanaged function. And it's very easy to demonstrate that. Then one of the guys was working with us, so he wrote a book called
Running training like a business.
Running training like a business.
Like a business.
And he's a guy who was a functional leader in a company. I think one of the not the glass company, that you forget who.
A paint company, DuPont.
Okay. He was a manager in DuPont. He was moved into the learning function because the CEO said the learning function is not delivering. And he said, I was appalled to see how much of an absence of goal setting and outcome orientation there is in the learning function. And he actually started introducing normal principles. You have objectives, you have outcomes, you have measures, blah, blah, blah. And he wrote a book on it. Then he joined us. So we were that time already working on how to give an outcome. So we've had a few acquisitions in our history which really helped us to sharpen our capability. And in fact, the chief scientist comes from a company called Cognitive Arts. Company set up by a guy who's a professor at Yale, Roger Schank. And he set up the company. He said he was the head of the division. He had a good bunch of PhDs, and one of them was this guy who currently heads the team. There were two, a dozen who joined. Then he made this company, he first took his whole team to Northwestern University. And the university set up something called the Institute for Learning Sciences, ILS. That was his team. In the 90s, at that time, there was a boom. So he took this whole team out and formed a company called Cognitive Arts. And Cognitive Arts was dealing with Fortune 10 because they had real science. Then when the dot-com bust happened, they couldn't charge what they wanted. Then the company came up with sales. So that team of ours is based in Chicago still. So when we say 70, that includes something, 25 of those people.
It's a mix of Chicago-based and...
So this is a very, very sharp team which has been at it for a while. And so they don't do all the development project, but they're doing the core technology.
Yes, you think is not segmented in India?
See, right now we find that Indian customers are not ready. We have spoken to the top ET50. So the learning function is so low down in the organization that he has no say. Whereas in US also, mid to small companies, they have no say. But large companies now have CLOs, Chief Learning Officers. And the chief learning officers are not reporting to the head of HR. Just like, accounts and finance. And so in the organization structuring, CLOs are, the Fortune 1000, there are maybe about 200, 250 CLOs who have the independence to look at these questions. Right? So these are all large investments. We sign 5-year contracts for maybe 20 million, 30 million, 40 million. They have to justify. So we are not getting Indian companies getting ready for that kind of thing. We do, but we think it'll happen. It's a question of time. It took us 20 years to break even in our B2B business in India. We just couldn't make money. Even though I know every chairman of this company, and they would get the guys into the room, the training people, but by the time you delegated on both sides, they would say, I can get a retired professor at half this cost. I can get a computer society member who charges me very little, is my neighbor. So it's not been possible to demonstrate or to get the senior level, but it'll happen. Now we bought a company in India only, which works for the GCCs. Okay, but they are doing certification. It's a Bangalore-based company. They've been working for certification of technology-based stuff. So Microsoft certified, there's a 25 principles, Amazon, they're gold partner for them. Their job is different. They're saying that these GCCs look at their staff and measure them only on the certification they've done. So that's a different business model. So in India, we don't see the MTS customers yet, but we're putting a team together which will start building this, and it'll take 3-4 years to get maybe 5-7 customers. So till then, this team is focused on these customers, and we
face very similar issue, and hence we kind of put a little break to scaling a B2B business because the company.
Yeah, no, but B2B also, I think companies are now beginning to spend more. So for us, as I said, it's now becoming viable. But the difficulty is the decision maker in the learning process too far down the line. And purchasing department overrides. He says, quotation leke lo. So you know that you never choose a heart specialist or dentist. You don't go to the cheapest dentist. That's the best example I give to people. Feel the pain immediately. So, but I think some of you are working with the university system and the private university system. They have real challenges. Their ability to deal with education testing is so poor that even what we serve to them adds a lot of value. And that's giving value to some of our companies in the EdTech space. But those are what you have to worry about. That is very easy to. There's no entry barrier. So you have to create your entry. And to me, I think, as I said, just embracing newer technologies is one of the better entry barriers because you can start going forward. Okay, Balaji.
Thank you very much.
Time is up.